Ever wonder who the very first country music star was? I mean, way before Johnny Cash, way before Dolly Parton, before all those names we think of when we talk about legends. Believe it or not, it all goes back to one man. A man born on this very day back in 1897. His name was James Charles Rodgers. You might not recognize that name right away. He doesn't get talked about as much as the stars who came after him. But here's the truth, without him, country music as we know it might not even exist. And that's not an exaggeration. James Rodgers wasn't just a singer. He was a storyteller. He was an inventor in his own way, shaping sounds that people had never heard before. He created a style that was so raw, so emotional, and so new that it lit the spark for everything that came after. We're talking about music that inspired legends like Hank Williams, Johnny Cash, and even Dolly Parton. Think about that for a second. All the country icons we love today? Their paths were paved by Rodgers, the man who gave country its first real star. But here's the thing that makes his story even more fascinating. Rodgers' life wasn't glamorous. He didn't come from fame or wealth. He didn't even come from a place where music seemed like a promising career path. He came from struggle. From hard work. From illness. From a life that, to be honest, seemed like it would hold him back. And maybe that's exactly why his music touched people so deeply. Because when he sang, you could feel every ounce of joy, every bit of heartbreak, and every part of that struggle pouring out of him. So let's roll back the clock for a moment. It's September 8, 1897, and James Charles Rodgers is born in Meridian, Mississippi. Back then, country music wasn't even a recognized genre. There were folk songs, sure. There was blues. There were ballads. There were hymns and work songs. But nobody had tied it all together into something people would later call country. Rodgers would be the one to do that. Without even realizing it at first, he was crafting a sound that would eventually define an entire genre. Now, how did he do it? It starts with his gift for storytelling. Rodgers didn't just sing words. He sang stories. He painted pictures with his voice. When he opened his mouth, it wasn't just about hitting notes, it was about taking you into a world. The world of working-class people, the world of heartbreak, the world of everyday struggles and simple joys. He could make you feel like he was sitting right across from you, telling you about life in a way that made you nod and say, "Yeah, I get that. I've felt that too." That emotional honesty, that's what set him apart. And then came the thing that truly defined him. Something nobody else had done quite like him before. The blue yodel. If you've never heard it, imagine this: it's part song, part cry, part call to the heart. It was Rodgers blending singing with yodeling in a way that hit people straight in the soul. When people first heard it, it was shocking. Strange, even. They'd never heard anything like it. But once it caught on, it became addictive. That sound, the blue yodel, became one of the defining features of early country music. And you know what makes this even more powerful? Rodgers wasn't some polished star who had everything going for him. He was just an ordinary guy. He worked on railroads. He lived a tough life. He battled illness, including tuberculosis, which eventually claimed his life way too early. He knew pain. He knew struggle. He knew what it was like to be knocked down and have to stand back up again. And all of that came through in his music. That's why when you listened to him, you felt something real. Something raw. Think about how many artists try to fake authenticity. They write songs about heartbreak when they've never really felt it. Or they sing about struggles they've never lived. Rodgers didn't have to fake a thing. His life was the song. His pain, his joy, his work, his sickness, it was all right there, wrapped up in every yodel, every lyric, every note. And people connected with it. Now here's something worth thinking about. Without Rodgers, Johnny Cash might never have found his voice. Dolly Parton, who has inspired millions with her songs, once admitted that Rodgers' music helped shape her. Imagine that. The man born in 1897 was the foundation for artists whose music is still playing on radios, playlists, and concert stages today. His voice echoes through generations, even though his own time on Earth was so short. But here's a detail most people don't know. Rodgers wasn't just important for country music. He was a bridge. He connected country with blues. He tied in folk. He pulled from gospel. He blended it all into something that felt familiar but also brand new. That's why he didn't just appeal to people in rural towns. His music reached wide audiences, people from all walks of life. He broke barriers before people even realized there were barriers to break. And get this, his records in the late 1920s sold in numbers that were almost unheard of at the time. This was not just a man with a guitar. He was a phenomenon. People wanted to hear him. People needed to hear him. And his success proved that music like his could reach the mainstream. It could sell. It could thrive. And that opened the doors for every single country artist who came after. So what does his story teach us? Here's a thought. Rodgers' life shows us that you don't need perfect circumstances to make an impact. Think about it, he was poor. He was sick. He was dealing with setbacks that could have silenced him. But instead of letting that stop him, he turned it into fuel. He turned it into music. He took the parts of life that seemed hardest and gave them to the world in the form of songs that made people feel less alone. That's powerful. And maybe that's the real secret to his lasting influence. Because when you hear his songs, you don't just hear him. You hear yourself. You hear your own struggles. You hear your own moments of joy. You hear the human story. And that never goes out of style. So the next time you hear a Johnny Cash ballad, or you listen to Dolly sing one of her timeless classics, just remember, the foundation for all of it was laid by James Charles Rodgers. Born in 1897, gone too soon, but leaving behind a voice that changed music forever. He was the first true star of country music, the man who dared to try something new, and the one who showed the world that even in pain, there can be beauty. Now let me ask you something. Who's one artist from the past that you think doesn't get enough credit today? Maybe it's someone you grew up listening to. Maybe it's someone your parents or grandparents loved. Or maybe it's someone you stumbled across and thought, wow, more people should know about them. Drop their name in the comments, I'd love to hear who inspires you. And if you enjoyed this little dive into the roots of country music, there's more where that came from. I've got another video that tells the untold story of Dolly Parton's early career, and trust me, it's just as fascinating. So check that out after this one. And hey, if you liked hanging out and learning something new today, don't forget to hit that like button. Share this with a friend who loves music history. And of course, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next story. Because music history is full of unsung heroes, and I'll be right here bringing their stories to life for you. So, here's the takeaway. James Charles Rodgers wasn't just the first country star. He was a reminder that no matter where you come from, no matter what struggles you face, your voice matters. Your story matters. And sometimes, the very things you think will hold you back end up being the things that make you unforgettable.